Hey everyone. Just want to take a bit on my way home here, stuck in traffic, and talk to you about my thought on the future of work and meaning in work in light of AI and automation and technology, so on and so forth. I'm not going to try to give my prediction on what the future will look like as far as a practical sense of what automation will bring, how it will play out, all this. But let's just act and think as if eventually jobs will be automated away for the most part, and we may adopt something approximating a universal basic income where we don't need to make our own money to live anymore. Now, well, I think there's a lot of dangers to that, a lot of dystopian type dangers of not controlling our own supply of money and purchasing, so on and so forth. We won't get into that. I just want to talk about kind of how I think we should think about this as humans that have some ability to drive our future. Because as this technology is approaching, it's more of a top-down imposition, kind of like time is, in that we can't stop it, but we do get to kind of, to some extent, determine how we navigate within it. And we, the people, can push back against things we want to push back against, and we can accept and through our own dollars support things and support the direction that we want to go in. Some of that's political, but a lot of that's just capitalistic. And there's going to be lots of companies that begin to use AI, even service-based businesses, and use automation and tech. And if we don't like that, then we can shop somewhere else, and that's our choice. And if you prefer that, you can shop there. And it should feasibly bring prices down with automation. Lots of jobs where humans aren't working there, and computers are, machines are. Yeah, it may make a much easier life for us. But the way I think that we can think about this today, and just to kind of talk about it just briefly, is that just think about this in your own life. It's like, do you want a life in which you don't have to work at all? I understand that it's much nicer to maybe get to work and not have to work. But without an incentive structure, especially for those that are young, of I need to work, I need to do some hard things because I need to make money to live. Without that form of incentive structure, it is hard to develop the discipline and the perspective to really kind of lay our hand to the plow and develop drive and endurance and perseverance and fight to get a lot of things done and discover what we like and discover a lot of things about ourselves. So I really believe firmly that we were created to bear a load. We weren't created to have this endless vacation. And if we get to the point where we don't have to work, I do hope that we retain and fight to retain a landscape in which we can choose to work. Now, whether that be just be hobby type stuff or creative type stuff, which I understand that if we have a lot of automation, perhaps humans can have more time to be creative, although they'll tell us the AI can do that far better than us. So why find meaning in it if it does it better than you? I get all that, and I understand how that can be heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. Why paint a picture if AI can make a better picture than you in a few seconds now and less, 1,000 live a second in the future? Why write a script? Why write a book? Why so on and so forth? And there comes a point in time where humans are going to have to choose if we want to support humans or if we want to support perhaps having an easier life for ourselves in the short term at the expense of our collective humanity. And that's not a bargain that I want to accept. That's an invitation for which I politely decline. And I hope that you can share that sentiment. Because if we're not careful, in the name of ease and in the name of comfort, we can cede a lot of our freedoms away without knowing it. Just by the landscape changing, we say yes to this, yes to that, and before you know it, there's no sandbox with it in which for you to play, except for the one that has been allotted to you for you. So I'm going to say this kind of as a warning, but I'm just trying to think about it myself. I'm trying to frame it out. I have a business and I work hard and I find meaning in that work, and I employ a bunch of people, and I'll have a lot of consumers come through my business, and you have to even worry about that, right? It's okay. Well, I sell books. The book industry's already been hit by something. You guys know what it is. I mean, it's the Kindle, and the pendulum kind of swung on that, where book sales after COVID are even greater than they were pre-Kindle. And that's physical books. So things do swing. But I'm just kind of continuing down this path now because I want to have a business that grounds people in something that's tangible, and something that's much lower than the world around them. It's going to take a long. It will still take the same amount of time to read a book. Maybe not if you have Neuralink, right? But if you're a normal person, you can have all these high dopamine, intense scene changes, or you can sit down, focus, and read a book and learn the old way. And that's the future that I'm going to fight for the best that I can, as nobly as I can, and also give everyone the ability to make their own decisions and do as they wish. I'm sure there's plenty of things that AI and automation will bring that will make my life easier and that I will readily accept. But I think we should be like an elderly person and take help where it's critical and reject it where it's not, because if we're not careful, then we'll one day not be able to help ourselves anymore, to do what we want to do anymore, and everything will have to be done for us if we're not careful. Just a few more thoughts on work, if you disagree with me, in kind of a first principles approach that you think maybe you would want to have an endless vacation. If you go to the way back to the Garden of Eden, you'll see that Adam lived in a Christian utopia and not a American dystopia. Just playing with you there. And God still gave him a task to do. And you can think that that's crazy. You can think that's just some story. But I see wisdom in that, and I see, you could almost say, author's intent or creator's intent in that Adam had everything he needed. There was no conflict. There was, as far as I know, nothing that he needed to produce. He didn't have to make things, grow his own food to eat. He just couldn't eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? But he had all these other trees available to him, and far more food beyond that, I'm sure. But God still had him tend the garden, and God still had him go and name the animals, which is a creative task. God, I'm sure, had plenty of names for the animals. So we kind of see there, right? Like in that picture, in that image, God created everything. God could easily sustain everything, but he carved out something for Adam to do. And in this future of AI and automation, humanity had best carve out what they want to do, what they need to do in order to retain their humanity and retain their sense of purpose and their sense of autonomy. As we try to create this utopia, we better be careful not to create dystopia. And I think that's how we do it, is that we carve out what's important for humans. We fight to retain what we want to retain, and that we voluntarily pick up a load, even when that lift could be automated. we voluntarily pick up a pebble when they're like, hey, this robot can pick up this boulder. Why even pick up a pebble? We say it's because I want to pick up a pebble. I find meaning in picking up this pebble. And I'd rather have a human maybe help me load this big old bucket full of pebbles than have you provide this boulder for me. You can provide a boulder for me in other ways, but there's this, I want to do this, right? I hope that that sentiment is in you, and I hope that that's something that we can fight to retain together and kind of carve out our own meaning here in this Garden of Eden. But love you guys. Just some thoughts there. I don't really know what I'm even talking about in this niche. I just in the book business here. What do I know? Maybe it's selfish. Said I like to work, and sometimes I'm out of balance in that, and I welcome some things that can make my life easier. I use softwares now, or in which doing what I do now would be very hard without softwares. But again, I like picking up books. I like flipping through them. I like interacting with customers. And let's not lose that sense of humanity, my friends. Let's not give it up. God bless you.